Hello and welcome to the Hall of Fame series by SCFA, Christ University School of Commerce, Finance and Accountancy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our distinct pleasure to introduce our guest for the day, Ms. Shreshta, co-founder of Secure Steps Limited and a dedicated alumni of Christ University. Shreshta's commitment to mentorship and teaching led her to establish Secure Steps in 2022. With a mission to empower students for academic and personal success, she has redefined support for those aspiring to work or study abroad.
Please join us in welcoming Ms. Shreshta, a visionary entrepreneur making a significant impact in education. Hello Shreshta, it's great to have you here. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm all well, thank you.
Alright, so we have an interesting set of questions for you today. Let's just dive into them.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, can you share with us the founding story of the company, your Secure Steps? How did you come up with it? What inspired you for it? How did it start?
So firstly, to begin with, I'm extremely happy that I'm talking to you all today, and thank you so much for inviting me over. So starting with Secure Steps, I think it all started when I was a student itself in Christ, right? So I've always been into academia. I always wanted to get into student development, coaching, helping students in multiple ways. I wasn't really very sure what I wanted to do, but definitely something to do with student development. So it was me and my co-partner, his name is Sandeep Reddy. So in London, when I was continuously looking into how much time can we spare in order to help the immigrant students who move just like me. So going back to history, I studied here. I graduated in 2018, and I moved to the UK to pursue my masters in 2020. And ever since then, I was only trying to see how students were settling in the country. Were they doing the right course? Did they reach there with pure intention to study, or did they get carried away, or are they living with the hype? So I was trying to see if all this was going on around me, because when I said I wanted to do something with student development, I wanted to focus from scratch, right? So that was when I think Sandeep and I, he of a similar interest, we met up, and I see that he wanted to help students, settle down in the country. He wanted to sort out their accommodation. He wanted to sort out, how well are they actually being greeted in the country, where I was focusing on if students are taking their right move to the country. So I think this is how, having a very informal conversation, we all started. We did our own research, if ever we could do it in the country. Successfully, yes, we managed to. Having spoken to, I think, more than 800 plus students, we decided we are on the right track. So yeah.
That's nice. I think, having said that, everything focuses mainly on students and their growth. Our next question is something about being an alumni of Christ University. How do you think your connection to the institute has helped you set up the vision or mission and the objective of Secure Steps?
Okay. So when I say Secure Steps, it's not just a student counseling platform, right? So we are focusing on providing A to Z services to students. So example, let's say you would want to move abroad, and the resources you have when you are in India about any country that you want to move abroad. Basically, you get it from either your agent, or you get from your teachers, or maybe the friends who live there, or the internet, right? There's nothing beyond that. So it's a generic information that we usually get. So what we're trying to focus on is concentrate on the student, speak to the student, understand the caliber of the student, what you really want to study. So instead of promoting the universities you're tied up with, that's what typical agents do, right? So we don't want to promote universities. We want to give the student an opportunity to just tell us what you're really interested in, because not everybody who can do accountancy can do, another person can do. Let's say you've done accountancy, but you don't want to do accountancy later, you're interested in something else. So we sit down with students like this, we understand what the student caliber is, what are they really good at, and then give them around 40-50 odd universities that they can look into. So what we are trying to do is not just promote the 10 universities and forcefully give you admission or anything of that sort. We are introducing you to multiple different opportunities the country holds, multiple different offers, courses the country has. Do the assessments with you, conduct interviews with you, the very first step. then understand what you're good at, and then help you pick up the universities of your choice. So yeah, and then one thing we're trying to completely eliminate is, okay, you go to this university, this is what you're going to get. No, I think abroad education is more than just a mere certification, right? It's more than just going to university. And when a student comes and asks us at Secure Steps, so it's so expensive. For Indian students, it's 20 lakhs, it's 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs of money. So we always try and tell students, moving abroad is not just your foreign degree. So it's more than that. It's independence, it's exposure, it's different culture, it's, you know, your first time you're going to be living abroad alone, you're going to earn in a different currency. It's much more than that. So I think if you're ready for it, we basically prepare you for it. So when that's the very first step, and hence I think that's where it all starts. Suppose that, yeah, we can talk about everything at Secure Steps also. And when it comes to the vision and the mission that I've carried forward, I think from Christ, I think Christ they've always been into holistic development, right? Holistic development. So when our main objective whenever we talk to students is we tell them, choose a country, choose a university, not just to study. It's a complete overall development. I think when I was a student here, that's what I did. It was just more than attending classes. So we tell them to students, when you choose this, we'll not just tell you this is the university you go to. What are the rest of the things the country holds? Like these are the events going on, this is how you need to grow, this is how you need to earn. So that's why we help them with part-time jobs. We make sure that they attend the right events of their choice. So that's something I've carried forward from Christ, the complete development. So that's something that I'll be doing as well in the future. Yeah.
Nice. Our next question is something about, since we mentioned that this is what Secure Steps is focused on doing, how they prepare the students to go abroad.
Yeah.
But initially, what are the things that students are supposed to keep in mind when they want to move abroad, and how does Secure Steps have an impact on that?
Yeah. So I think moving abroad, students firstly need to understand they cannot go with the hype, right? Just because your friend's going abroad and you can't go abroad. Just because the family wants you to go abroad, you can't go abroad. I think there are categories. When I say students, there is one category of students who just want to go abroad to experience the city, to experience the culture, and come back home. That's India or whichever country, home country. So there is a second category of students who are taking loans, who are like, of course, focused on making their future there. They at least want to get the return of investment that they've made. They want to get a job, they want to settle in the country. So I think students, when they decide, okay, if I'm moving abroad, it's not just the country, how it looks like. They need to understand if they really have the opportunities there. And if you can't understand, that's when you come to us, right? You can go to the typical traditional agencies as well, which majority of them are doing today. And I think with our research last year, we found out that more than 90% of the students rely on these agencies. So I openly want to say that I want to tell students, it's absolutely okay to depend on agencies, right? But I think to do your own research, if you still fail, reach out to the right set of people who can talk to you about it. That's where they're coming into picture. To build awareness that going abroad, you need to understand the country. You need to understand that very first time you're going to live a life of privilege. Here we are, like, especially the Asian students, we're focusing on Asian students. Like, we have a certain type of living. We know that we have our families, we know that we have our friends all the time. So majority of them are not prepared to, experience this side of life. So we want to tell students, whoever reaches out to us, we tell them that prepare mentally too. Because abroad education is not just how you look at on the internet. It's not just that 100% of them are going to become successful. You should also be ready that maybe after 2 years, if things don't work out, you should be happy that I've experienced enough. Or maybe then let me just take up the next step. Because we've seen most of the students who leave the country halfway through, most of the students who get depressed, because they do not know this is the life that they're going to have abroad. So we want to introduce the life, however they could live abroad, even before they leave the country, so that they're mentally ready. This is what we're trying to do. So when I say we take care of end-to-end services, so when you come to us, we take care of the counseling. So what is the counseling mainly involved? We are building, making sure that we are giving this awareness as you approach to the country. This is what your life is going to look like. Part-time jobs are normal. Working at cafes are normal. Working at restaurants are normal. Working at libraries are normal. It's students do not know that, or they think it's easy. But you have not done that, because here we are somebody who go to university, come back home, everything is sorted. We go to college or we go to work, like everything is sorted, come back home sorted. So there it's not that. When you're a student, you have to get yourself exposed to doing all those type of job, and considering that they are needed for you to learn everything. I mean, everything just gets better after that. So I think as most of the students are not ready for this side of life, like 90%, the truth is that 90% of the students who move abroad, they have to do something like a part-time job, right? When agencies out there or whoever say that, oh, all you need to do is nothing, don't worry, just your basic part-time job, get into universities, they'll give you a job there. I've spoken to students, right? This is not how it works. It's much more than that. So we want to mentally prepare them. I think which students can't do it on their own, because they are full-fledged depending on the internet, full-fledged depending on the third-party agencies. Maybe the university professors or whoever they want to reach out to, but the information that's given is just 20%. The realistic information which cannot be given out there, we are trying to fill this in. Giving a visualization of the life that you're going to have abroad. Yeah, I think preparing mentally is very important.
Alright, so these were all the good points about your startup. Obviously, there must have been drawbacks, there must have been challenges you must have faced. And especially considering the time you started, 2022, post-COVID, right out of COVID. What were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
So before, I think terming this after COVID was a challenge, I would also say it was a good thing for me that it happened after COVID. Because during COVID, when the whole world was shook out of this crazy uncertainty that happened, I think it was when a lot of students went through a lot of different traumas, right? So that added 50% of what are the rest of the services we can add up to Secure Steps. And with challenges, I think, so as I said, Secure Steps will be operating 50% in the UK and 50% in India. So we're going to take up operations in different countries, but our main operations are going to be in India. So the biggest challenge was, of course, the political challenges for this. So most of the countries after COVID, example UK where I'm living right now. So they wanted immigrants at that point. So whatever maybe students wanted to pursue any type of education, it was easy for them to get there. But right now what's happening is, politically the country is not favoring immigrants. So whereas Secure Steps is trying to say that we are helping immigrants settle down in the country. So we're going against the political situation right now in the country. So at that point we have to prove the country that we are not just focusing on bringing randomly. So the problem in the country was overpopulation of immigrants. So right, we have to make them understand that we are trying to remove these illegal entries. We don't want to get random students into the country. We are preparing a student in such a way that they are contributing to the country and they're not being a problem in the country. But as easy as it sounds, but going there, politically trying to fix things where, through the embassies and all these, it was a big challenge for us. And let's say, even I'm focusing in Canada tomorrow, Canada is inviting immigrants. But after a point, we're not trying to send 500 students out there, 1,000 students out there. So it was a challenge for us to explain them that we're trying to make it easy to make sure that the students who are coming into the country are coming in the right way and they are being taken care of and they are not just coming here to ruin your country. So what I'm trying to say is, we are not an agency. We are not that consultant who are trying to give 50 admissions to one university. No. We are trying to make sure we understand the student. If you are ready, we send you. So such type of students do not come back. Such type of students, even if they come back, they're going to make an impact wherever they go. They're going to make an impact even if they come back. So basically a high talented students or maybe high potential students. So these filtrations we're trying to put to favor India and whichever country. Okay, so this is our main thing. Yeah. So the challenge was the political differences, I think, majorly because it's countries involved.
So Secure Steps offers end-to-end support for students. Can you share a few instances or testimonials where your platform has made a substantial difference in a few students' lives?
Yeah, definitely. So I think last year we had a student, many of them, out of which I think one student who 100% dependent. She's depending on us. She just said that hi Shreshta, I finished all my university admissions and everything. So, but everything else beyond that is something that you can help me with. So it was a startup. I remember Sandeep, myself, and two others in the team were taking care of sorting out accommodation for students. But we did take it as a huge challenge because she was somebody who completely believed in us. It's not easy, right? When you basically want to go to a reputed place, we were starting up then. But it was her who completely said, sort out my accommodation, please take care of my, me coming there and sorting me out, introduce me to the city and everything else. So I think she was not really in the picture for some time, but the entire responsibility of getting her an accommodation of her type. So we did it. It was a city in Manchester. She wanted to move in, and we sorted out her accommodation in a week's time. All she had to do was just take her flight. There was a meet and greet, and all she had to do was collect her keys. Successfully, how I'm talking about, this is our service. So smoothly it happened. So I think how happy she was later, because we even went, we went an extra mile to make sure that she's comfortable in Manchester. We had one of our team members who went there, who spoke to her, who told her this is how the city is, introduced her to all the local amenities. So from her house, how to get to the university. I think that level of satisfaction we give the student, right? She was extremely happy about it. So even till today, if ever I've met 20 odd extra students came through this client of ours. I can say client, a student of mine. Because when I say somebody reaches out to us, it's a student who's extremely clueless. So it is our time to make sure we don't take advantage of the situation. So we made sure that her accommodation was of her type, fitted to her budget. She said this is the budget, I cannot cross this budget. So we made sure this was in her budget. So she wanted somebody to take care of her things, to hand over the keys. We made sure the keys were handed over. And after that we gave her an introduction about the city, about the country, what types of events she has to attend, how the university life is going to look like. Basically, when I said a holistic approach. So it was just the beginning, I think, when we started. This was one of our successful clients. And then later to that, I had a student who actually was planning to move to the UK from Gujarat. He randomly reached out to me, and then he just said he found out that Secure Steps is doing this through one of his professors from random place, and then I think we played a huge role in him picking up the university, to booking that flight, I think to getting himself sorted at the airport, I think to meeting his first set of friends. So what we do is when we have people at a certain location, we make sure we connect them, right? We connect them. So he basically felt, not just him, his parents felt so happy that everything was taken care of. So this is what I mean by what we are trying to do. So we take care of the student completely, so that they don't feel scared. They are not clueless. We identify if they are actually, so when he reached out to us, I want to study in this country, this is the course I want to do. Firstly, what we did was try and understand if he's actually ready to take up that course. Okay. So even today he's in contact with us, and he says that the entire move was seamless. Like it was so easy for him because anytime he could reach out to us. So I think this is the type of comfort we've given our students, and we've trained our team in such a way that every child gets to experience comfort, ease, because moving out of India or any of their home country to a new country is a big challenge on its own. Right? It's not as easy as it sounds, is what I tell every single child. So as I said, category. Yeah. If you belong to the second category where you want to make it in the country, or you want to experience a country where you want to work there, you want to do your part-time, you want to get the return on investment of whatever you've invested on your education, there's so much more that you need to understand. So making sure that the student is completely taken care of, even today the student can reach out to us. So I think this is the type of success we look for. So we've had 2 students who 100% got all our services at the best. Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume that I am one of those who have completed their graduation or post-graduation, and now I am wanting to move to a broad country.
Yeah.
So I find out about Secure Steps and I come to you seeking guidance.
Yes.
What exactly are the services that you're going to give me, and how you're going to help me through? Exactly how is it going to go?
Okay. So assuming that you're clueless about everything, you reach out to me. The very first question, as I said, is my round of assistance. Okay. So both of us in the business, we are very, very particular about this one, right? Because business is, I think, more of satisfaction customer is God, right? We have to take care of each one properly, and especially having a very personal connection with students, it plays even more of a big role. So I think the first thing we ask the students is, why do they want to do it? Right? Why? The question to why is that they can't do it in their home country, right? Okay, maybe different reasons, like if I ask you, why would you want to do it?
To be, let's say, because I want exposure, I want something different. I studied graduation, I wanted to post
Yeah, something of this sort. So when the why is solved, then I ask you then, why have you thought of these countries? So you have your own reasons, and I'll give you better reasons. Why you have to choose UK, why you have to choose Australia, why you have to choose Canada, why you have to choose Dubai, etc. So I think we make the student understand that when you choose a country, the country is not just because you like the country. You also have to see the opportunities there. And the opportunities, when I say, can keep changing. You know that with pandemic, the opportunities fell down in a lot of countries. Inflation, recession happens. But we try to give you enough information that if you want to choose this country, if you take up this particular course, you have a plan B. So you feel secure inside. This is what we do, right? The second thing is explaining this. Third thing is, I think we give you an opportunity to decide on the universities that you randomly know. Just you. So on the secure steps, when I say our website, we are going to be introducing majority of the universities in one platform. So let's say, example, you want to reach out to UCL, University College of London. So rather than you going to the website on its own, doing your own bit of research, so University College of London, who's going to be tied up with Secure Steps, example in the future, every single event they want to introduce to the immigrants are going to be introduced on Secure Steps website as well, right? So that you can basically check, like list down the universities you want to put it in the basket. These are the universities that you really want to answer. So we expose you to the universities once you know the universities that you want to pursue, right? We give that enough time. So after that, you come back to us, of course, and again we'll sit and figure out the courses. So as I said, it's a process. It's a rigorous process. We do assessments, we do one-to-one. If not me, my team who has enough knowledge, like whatever we hold, we understand you. Okay, we go in depth of what are your personal interests. Okay, because so that making sure that you're not ending up in a university that only focuses on exams. So that there's much more beyond that. So we understand you personally. So in Secure Steps, we don't just do counseling on a professional basis. Okay. We do personal coaching as well for students. So that's student personal coach. So we do that as well. So that you have an idea, okay, this is how the country is, this is how the universities look like, these are the options. Just go on the website, you've already chosen a few, you've added a few to your basket, you know these are the things going on. So once you've chosen that, you have your set of universities in hand. Next 2 weeks period of time, the universities, when they update about what's going on from their side, open to immigrants, all the events, activities, courses, you get to see them on the website as well. So you don't have to in person search this university, go on the internet, what are they doing? Because we are going to be partnering with these universities, you're going to be exposed to every activities of theirs just in one platform. This is the product called UniSelect. So UniSelect is falling under admissions. When you click on that, you select the set of universities and you start exploring them. So once you do that, you come back to us and you tell us if you like it. That's when we start taking you through this admission process. So 80% of whatever you want to do with your admission is you. 20% is us. This feature called UniSelect. This is one of our products that we're introducing. We've introduced in Secure Steps. Yeah. So, if you want to know more about other services, I can in the same.
Yeah, one specific service, especially with respect to admissions. Now that we've spoken about the process, as a student's personal coach, how do you think Secure Steps is going to make sure that in this era of artificial intelligence, where everything is just, you give a prompt to ChatGPT or you give a prompt to Bard, and they're going to give you an entire admission letter or your letter of recommendation, things like that. How can students make sure that their approach is right and they don't get rejected because of maybe a very structured and mechanical admission letter? Because I think at this point institutions have also figured it out that it's not very authentic or original. Everything is through an intelligence and everything you can get at a click for a mouse. So how do you change that? how to say that?
So I think with changing AI has of course taken over 80% of everything in this world, right? Anything at all you do. So but I feel if a student is highly focused on taking up this particular course in a different country and there's a purpose behind that particular move that you're doing, we always tell such students to completely spill out everything that's in your mind,
Okay.
right? Everything that's in your mind, because we've attended so many events with universities, we've spoken to so many recruitment officers. So there are so many universities who are highly concentrating on profit making and building extra enrollments. But there are universities who are genuinely considering students' interests. So we've gone back to students, we are actually trying to promote this everywhere, building awareness that when you have that particular purpose behind why you're taking up that course, why you're taking up this particular country as your choice, to make sure that everything that you do it out of your will, to write it. We cannot eliminate it. I don't think AI can, it's just going to get better and better. I think AI is going to take over the world, we all know that. But if you ask someone like me, you do your statement of purpose, you do your letter of recommendation on AI and everything. But I think at some point, now universities have got their own alerts to pick this up, right? But at some point, when you are that person, you're doing this particular move, an expensive move, you would want to at some point spill out what's in your mind. So when I say we take care of the admission process, we take care of this one, right? You said that you want to open up something on your own in the future. So you have that in mind, but you still want to study before that, right?
Yes.
I want you to write down that you want to become an entrepreneur on your SOP, which your AI can't do. You have to write down that I am from a creative industry, I want to become a business owner. That's what you told me, right? You write down that so that the recruitment officer, whoever sees it, will know that, okay, this particular student of ours has entrepreneurial capability. This AI cannot give. You tell the AI build an SOP with entrepreneurial element in it, it will build a random thing. You definitely can differentiate. Yeah, so with the number of people we've met and the universities we've known, they know too what's coming out of AI, what's not coming out of AI. So the filtration happens.
There is it.
Yeah, so I think we cannot eliminate AI. Okay. It's going to go on,
Okay.
but to manually you writing down what you want to do out of will and desire still has a lot of scope, lot of place. Yeah, definitely. So in Secure Steps, we make sure that every move of a student is like what I was trying to explain you, that we understand students in person, right? We want them to do whatever they want to do. When I tell students, don't do what your relatives are asking you to do, don't do what your peers are asking you to do, don't do because of the society. Because trust me, 5 years down the lane, you might be having the most happening cafe in town. That's because you wanted to do it, not because your relatives wanted to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we make sure that, okay, if you want to do this, you taking up this field of your interest will help you. This I don't think AI can teach you. So as long as the students realize that, I think there's nothing to worry about how AI is going to take over.
Okay.
So we are introducing a chatbot in Secure Steps, right? It's called Secure Steps Avatar. So example, you're moving to London tomorrow and you want to understand how am I going to manage my expenses. We're introducing our own calculator which talks about how much your monthly basic expenses are going to look like. Okay, on an average, how much your just your accommodation expenses are going to look like, how much bills are going to pay, and how much you're going to be left with. So based on that, we are going to be providing you part-time jobs as well. That's our premium service, right? So we have basic service and another service called elite service. So the basic service only includes counseling and accommodation we provide, and our elite services include counseling, accommodation, and we provide part-time jobs. And part-time jobs are again based on the student's interest, right? So this is the biggest gap we are trying to fill, which definitely is working. I mean, it is working out and it's helping a lot of students. So in this feature, I think we specifically wanted to talk about how important it is to do something of your own, right? So yeah, I mean, this chatbot example, when I said we have our own calculators. So let's say tomorrow you move into a country and you want to understand your basic expenses, right? How much, example, your grocery bill is going to look like. We're going to give you an estimation. So you as a student moving out of a country where the value of currency is different, right? So you want to understand which is the best supermarket I can go to. to save up money. You go on the internet, it gives you 10. Our chatbot gives you that 1. Right? So which is that specific answer? If I'm living in this area, okay, which is the student-friendly supermarket with different vouchers? If you go to London, it shows you, so Tesco's, it shows you different 10 other things. The answer is just one. It's Aldi. So for example, which is how can I get my driving license sorted easily? You go on the internet, people on Quora say that you have to follow this, and all of that. So a chatbot says the 5 steps that you have to follow to drive in the UK. Where should you go and get your license sorted? Just one answer. So we are keeping the chatbot specific. So once you choose Secure Steps, you have access to this as well, so which is free of cost. Of course, you just register with us, you get all your answers. So we plan to focus on giving these answers city-wise, country-wise. Yeah, this is one of the products in Secure Steps.
It's wonderful to see an enterprise working for the good of students, because we don't get to see that in them. And we would love to see this grow in the future. So do you have any long-term visions for Secure Steps? What do you want to do in the future? How do you plan on evolving it and meeting the challenges of needs?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest dream I think we, both of us as business owners have, is to create the largest student community in the world, right? Because Indian students moving out of India, all they want is to have community of their own interests, right? So out of all the products, so as I said, we take care of accommodation, we take care of airport pickup services, we take care of admissions, we take care of part-time jobs, everything all in one platform. We next year, the 2 biggest challenges we have is we are introducing a community called Better Together. Right? Better Together is going to be a community for all the students who come from Secure Steps, be it from whichever part of the world, be it from whichever part of whichever different universities. We are hosting events to bring everyone together. So, right, this is the thing, and we are going to be, of course, coming up with events based on the interest of students. So we're going to give the students an opportunity to decide what type of events they want to come up with. So this is something that, if you ask me what's our future vision, is to build the strongest student community abroad. And we want to abroad and also to have the strongest community in India as well. So we want students to understand that realistic approach is more important than just listening to different other words in the society, to take the right step properly. So this is something that, because I went there as a student, I lived there as a student. So when it comes to academics, we are highly focused. When I say we, both of us as co-founders, I think Sandeep is also extremely into helping students, building someone's life in a better way. So this is something. So I'm not making it too, charity type of a company. No, we are not. We have our own profits, of course, but do it in the right way. I want students to understand that when they are moving abroad, even if they're coming back, 2 years of their life there matters. Right? Don't go and get into the wrong place.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have an idea how it's going to look like. If you want to live there, let's talk about it. So once you go there, you're ready for it. Right? As I said, so if you go deep, there's so much.
Right.
But the main focus is this. Yeah, just to make sure the approach is realistic. Students get to experience firsthand of it.
I think what we have next is perfectly in line with what you just said. Balancing impact with affordability is crucial.
Yes.
So how does Secure Steps ensure that its services remains accessible to a diverse audience?
So when we started, I think in 2020, for almost 6 to 8 months, we were zero profit. We did it for free. Yeah, 6 to 8 months, we did everything for free, of course. So when a student came approached, hours of counseling, and I remember when we started, it was just 2 of us, right? We didn't have a team. It was me doing counseling, Sandeep taking care of all the accommodation inquiries, running around entire UK. We were on roads. So every startup story has a story, right? We were driving around different cities like Scotland one day, Manchester one day, Liverpool one day. So we've lived every single thing. And I'm saying that, it's something that we're taking care of is because we've experienced, we've seen how difficult it is for students. Because I think last year we had a group of students who called us from Cambridge, They landed there and they said, we don't have a place to go. We heard, we heard that you help students, right? So we've had all this. We've had crazy challenges as well. The first 6 to 8 months, because we were only like paying out. We were only spending money on traveling, on making sure accommodation is sorted at their preference and all of this. So these type of students were clueless. Our main target is them, because I think 10% of students have people in the country. There's a relative to pick them up, they have friends to pick them up, they know how things work, but more than 90% of them do not have. So imagine the plight of those 5 boys who called us up and said, we are in Cambridge and we don't have a place to go. We cannot afford a hotel. Airbnbs are expensive. Unplanned. We don't want this. So when we are taking a student there through us, the student needs to be 100% sure and ready for the biggest battle they're going to face. We're trying to fill this. So when I say this to a lot of people, people wonder, do such students exist? They do exist. I know people who are really not worried about doing any kind of research. They just completely rely on agents. They get their visa and fly. They don't know how it works. And after going there, there's a huge cultural shock because oh no, nobody told me this. They don't do their research. So we're trying to spread this awareness wherever we go. So the first 6 to 8 months, affordability wise, it was free of cost. We faced a lot of problems because there were so many people. We were a startup. Will they really give us a house? Will they really take care of us? Will they help us through admissions and all of this? And we did. But the hassle that we went through, the time and effort, because for us, building a customer base is important. Luckily we did. And that happened because we gave it for free of cost. And later we started, charging minimal, very minimal charges. Again, when I said we have basic services, elite services, admissions, students are not paying for everything. Students are only paying for basic and elite. That's all. And that's extremely new. Because as I said, we're not focusing on the working section. We are targeting on the students who are mainly aged between 21 to 25, majority. And profit making is very minimal at this point. And because our motto is not just this, our motto is to build a strong community of students, make sure we create an identity of realistic way of moving on, right? Basically preparing them. So in terms of, I think, affordability, people can choose what they really want. They can take up our basic service. Somebody who think they can afford, they can go for dating service as well, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were having a background of teaching and mentoring, right? Before you started your enterprise. So do you think that helped you in any way to connect with students and start this enterprise? How do you think, what all sectors do you think it helped you in? How do you think that was the driving force of your
So I think as a child, if you go back, my only dream was to become a teacher.
Wow.
I discovered it when I was just, I think, 12 or 13 years old. 7th grade. I knew that I wanted to become a teacher. Right? I made sure that nothing else mattered in between. Even though whatever subjects I chose, courses I did, whatever I did, I'm like, ultimately I'm going back to teaching because I think my mom, she was a teacher back in the days. She's not a teacher anymore. So a lot of things like this, I think definitely was in my mind. And as I said, even before moving to the UK, I was very sure at some point, I'm going to have something of my own for student development. And luckily, when I met my business partner, I see there is this another individual who's of the same approach. Right? That's when it clicked. That's when I'm like, okay, it's the time to start. So when I go back to when I did my teaching definitely rooted me. It gave me the confidence that I can talk to students. I discovered, as I said, I was an early teacher. So I discovered that talking to students was my thing. Okay, fine, students are actually getting benefited out of it. Then when I was mentoring, I didn't take mentoring easily. Example, when you come and tell me, Shreshta, I'm confused, right? I really want to do this. I can't take that confused brain for an advantage. Because you are going to believe me. Right? This is something that I want to tell it out aloud that mentoring, whatever I want to do, whoever is going to influence a lot of students, please do it in the right way. Because you are coming to me for help. And you are in the confused state of mind. I don't want to influence you wrong. I don't want to give you receiving information. So I think being a student allowed me to understand how the student atmosphere is. being a teacher here in Christ gave me an exposure to how to handle students and what type of learning is important, right? I think Christ was the right place for me because it was whole day of being around students, right? So much of students. So there was no distraction. So this, and then I moved to the UK, and before we started Secure Steps also, it was so many people reaching out for help. So they were getting help without me realizing it. That's when, we're like, okay, fine, there is something that we can actually do with it. So I think being in this entire academia, student field definitely helped rooted Secure Steps. Yeah.
So lastly, based on your experience, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to make a positive impact? Be it any sector.
Be it any sector. So I think two sectors, one thing I told you in academia sector, I want to, of course, whoever's wanting to become an entrepreneur in academia, I want to tell them that we cannot really think of, being a highly profitable company. We need to focus on the students as well. This is for somebody who wants to do it in academia. For rest of the entrepreneurs, I think what I want to tell is a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs, but there's a lot of things holding them back, right? I think right now India being one of the highest making startup companies in the world, right? And it's really nice to see that so many startups are being started here. But startups have its own challenges. Because as I want to tell you, when you start your own company, you take up all the roles in the company. You become your own accountant, you become your own website designer, you become your some random team member's role you need to take up. There's so much. It's not easy. So for somebody who's wanting to become an entrepreneur, I want to tell them that mental preparation is the key, and health is the key. Because if you take care of these two, I think your business you can take care of your business. And one more thing is, like before even you starting up, I think it's very important that you prepare your mind that it's going to be a tough journey. Because I personally feel without you going through that, the toughest phase of your beginning days of your business, you cannot explain your business to anyone. You cannot call yourself an entrepreneur until then, right? Because it's very easy to say that, I want to start this tomorrow. Me as an entrepreneur today who started with Secure Steps, I still have, I want to do one more thing tomorrow. But I think you have to live that role. You have to live each role. If I hand over, let's say tomorrow for Secure Steps, I want to hire a mentor. Okay, who can do the same job as me. I first have to live that role. That's what exactly I think. So when you become an entrepreneur, it's very important that you know how to do every role, not properly, but you have an idea of it. And that pressure is going to be high. And for every entrepreneur, I also would want to say one more thing. So one feature of an entrepreneur is you are perfect at your job. You want to do you started that particular product or you started that particular service because you were good at it. But sometimes you cannot give your 100%, right? You need to live that role and also make sure you have a small team of your own. Because at some point you cannot answer your client, you can't answer your whoever you want at the same time. So when you think I'm extremely independent, I want perfection, you're actually failing. That's what I think. You need to be prepared, you live the role, you experience everything, that's great because you can hire people of that type. Once you hire, make sure that your team also gets to do half of your job, because entrepreneurs, I feel personally that extra confidence of them doing everything, I want to do everything, takes out a lot of energy, time and effort, and we fail to look into the important parts of our business. So these are two things I would say, like to take care of mental health and physical health too. It's very important for you to take care of your business. Second thing, to make sure that certain things can be outsourced or certain things can be done by your team, because the main things have to be taken care of. When we step into the shoes of everybody and we want to do that till the end, we're not realizing that we cannot move forward. We're just stuck, right? So this is something that I want to tell all the aspiring entrepreneurs to plan out properly, to make sure that everything goes out the way I just explained.
I think what we can learn from that is, as much as we want to be independent individuals, it's important to balance things.
It is very important to balance things, yes.
Health and at the same time career or family for that matter.
Family is very, very important, because you basically, like, it's so difficult in the early days because you want to start up something and you cannot focus on everything. You have to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
But once you focus on everything, it's not wrong. That's why you're called an entrepreneur, right? You focus on everything. But all I would tell people, those people who do not have a lot of time forever, is to make sure that you're making a business, give out ways to people, make sure that there are certain things that can be done. So you balance it out so that you know how to live. This is it.
I think as much as this has been an interview, it has given us a lot more confidence about what kind of perspective we're supposed to have as students at this particular stage in our lives where we want a clearer view with respect to our career. And I think we all can definitely approach secure steps and make sure that,
Of course,
we
any
would love
day.
to do that.
We want to make a lot of changes in the way this entire approach of moving from India to different country works. Yeah.
It's a great, much needed service. And
Thank you.
Yeah, market right now. So, with a heavy heart but with a very enlightened mind, I think we've come to the end of this interview. And on that note, on behalf of the Hall of Fame series by CU SCFA, we extend our profound gratitude to Ms. Shreshta for graciously sharing her invaluable insights and contribution during the enlightening interview. Her expertise and dedication have undoubtedly enriched our minds and furthering our mission to celebrate and learn from the outstanding achievements of individuals who have been very influential. We express our deepest appreciation for Ms. Shreshta's time, wisdom, and meaningful engagement in contributing to the success of the Hall of Fame series. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.